got time, cuz. Today I got time, cuz. You lucky on that day I was acting cool, cuz.
What?
What's up, how gangster are you, cuz? I don't fuck with you, cuz you disrespecting me. I don't fuck with you, cuz you disrespecting me. I go hard,
cuz. Hey, you guys, I hope you guys are doing good today. When I tell you, I'm like, where did this week go? I really legit thought today was like Tuesday. And I'm like, I can't believe it's already Thursday. Like, when I tell you, I have been so focused on keeping my peace, planting, starting my garden. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Yes, I have been literally playing in the dirt, just like, starting my seedlings. Like, I've been having a ball. I had to check out from just everything, just the noise and Trump and just, one thing after another. And when I tell you, I woke up today thinking today was like Tuesday. I'm like, damn, we just celebrated the new year. I consider April 1st the new year, not April Fool's Day. If you know, you know. So I'm like, we just celebrated the new year, and I cannot believe it's already Thursday. So it's been a lot going on. But I am super excited. I got all my seedlings. When I tell y'all, I am not playing. I'm growing everything I can. I got grow bags. I got warmers. I got everything. I'm growing I don't know, child, maybe 10, 15 different vegetables. I'm going to be growing some strawberries. Like, I'm taking this very seriously, and I'm also connecting with some gardeners as well, with like some gardening communities that I'm going to volunteer at. So I got picked to be one of the volunteers. So I'm super excited, just so I can learn everything I need to learn about gardening, and also helping children learn about gardening too. So yeah, I am in, yes, farmer tea. And you know what's so funny, AG? My mom told me this recently, because my mom was like, she's just shocked at I'm taking it very serious. Like, in the past, I have one little small tomato plant. I might grow some okra. I don't be getting them, but like 4 little things of it, I fry it up and, sit down. But I'm growing buckets of stuff. And she's like, you're really taking this seriously. She told me that when I was in kindergarten, when they asked me what I wanted to be, I wanted to be a farmer. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, that was your dream job in kindergarten. I'm like, wow. So it's very funny how things come full circle. Like, now I'm like getting into gardening and farming. Like, my goal is to have a garden like Jody's mom, my baby boy, how Juanita had that garden. That has been my goal since I was like literally 20. So I'm going to build that up, and I'm really ready to. And I just want to encourage, because I know we've really been out on Discord. People have been posting their seedlings. Like, we're doing it as an online community. You know what I'm saying? Like, that gardening room, I live in there now. The house plant room, I live in there too. But like, we're really coming together as a community to just encourage each other, give advice. There's all types of just wonderful people, content creators I've ran across on YouTube, that teach, gardening and stuff. We are living in tough times, and I just been having a lot of like dreams, and it's about to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. A lot of this is, like I told y'all in our last Zoom meeting, a lot of this is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. And Bill Gates is not buying all the farmland that he can buy for no reason. You know what I'm saying? And we have to get to a point where we understand food. You can only survive so long without water and food. And we need to understand like the whole process, growing it, how it comes from, it comes from your grocery store to your table. There's a whole in-between process. And because of everything that's going on right now in the White House, that has been disrupted severely. When you go to your local grocery store, I know I'm not the only one, the vegetables are not as fresh. There's not as much. I mean, there'd be like cratefuls of like cabbage and lettuce and tomatoes. Now the crates aren't as full, because like I said, who's there to really pick them and do the jobs? I don't see a lot of MAGA people running to go put on, overalls and pick fruit, So if you can, definitely try and start like your own little garden. You don't need a lot of space. You can do stuff in your apartment. I used to have a small little garden space on my balcony. It's just good to be able to learn to grow your own food. So I will always preach that. So yeah, I've been super busy focusing on that, and hell, I was pruning that big ass palm tree that I got. So it's just been, I've been busy. I've literally been dealing with my plants all week and just getting things in order. And then I was up last night till like 3 a.m. disinfecting everything. Cause then I got the nerve to be a germaphobe. And it's like my kitchen had dirt everywhere and dust. And I was like, yeah, I can't go to bed like this. Once I got done potting everything, watering everything, doing what I needed to do, I had to like sweep everything up, clean off the counters, disinfect everything, and then mop. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm low key OCD. Like, I just don't like, I can't go to sleep with like a bunch of mess, bunch of dishes in the sink. Ugh. I don't know. That's just me, child. Yes, I'm plant babe. But yeah, no. So, y'all, it's a lot going on. And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead. Let's go live. You know, I want to talk about this. We got Trump coming out today. Whew, the tariffs were signed the other day. It, so let's see. Where do we start? It's so much. Where do we want to start here? Let me pull up my other screen. So let's start with the news. We're gonna start on the Trump stuff. But so for y'all who don't know, he's been threatening these tariffs for months now, and now he's gone through with it, and he is tariffing everybody. It's like Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. Now it's you get a tariff. You get a tariff. You get a tariff, and it's not good. It's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect a lot of people. On top of just the tariffs, the stock market has plunged today. And it's the lowest it's been, I believe they said, since the 2008 crash, if I'm not mistaken. Also, if you guys don't know, a lot of banks are closing. So you guys have to watch out. There's a lot of bank closures going on. If you have not, touched your account in a while, they're literally closing people's accounts behind their back. And then if you have money in that account, they're not just going to send you a check to your home. They're going to send that money to the government. So people are waking up and their money's gone. And my thing is, if somebody has, let's say, $5,000 in a savings account, just because they're not in there every day looking at it, that doesn't mean that you have the right to just close down that account and say that it's been abandoned. So I don't know if you guys have peeped that, but there's been a lot of things going on with the banks. So even today, what was trending on Twitter, the banks are out of money, was trending on, actually still trending on Twitter. So it is a lot going on right now, a lot. So I'm going to try and break down as much as I can break down in this stream. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's walk on over to TikTok. We're going to hit on the tariff and then the bank stuff. Okay.
This morning, the country and the world bracing for impact as President Trump prepares to unleash reciprocal tariffs on America's trading partners, what he's calling Liberation Day.
What they do to us, we do to them.
But it remains unclear what exactly the president will announce today. The scope of these tariffs and which countries will be targeted still unknown.
He's with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect deal for the American people and the American worker.
The uncertainty is injecting fresh concern into an already jittery stock market. As economists warn, American consumers will bear the brunt of this. Tariffs on imported products are taxes paid by American businesses. Those costs are then passed along to consumers in the form of higher prices on everything from groceries and electronics to cars and clothes. The president insists his tariffs will ultimately boost the economy and encourage manufacturing in the U.S., but it could take years to ramp up production on American soil. The message from the White House: have faith.
You should trust what this president did for you in his first term. He effectively utilized tariffs while driving down inflation.
But experts have concluded the tariffs during Trump's first term drove...
The thing that's bothersome is this. I keep hearing all these folks just say, have faith, believe in God. And yes, of course, we all have a level of faith, but also God helps those who helps themselves. And if somebody's rent is due, you can't go to the landlord and be like, have faith, I will eventually pay my rent. You're going to be out on the street. I can't go to the grocery store and be like, just start putting stuff in the bag and then get up to the register and say, have faith, I'll be back with payment. That, how does that work? I keep hearing this, have faith and just, believe in, the commander in chief. But kids who are hungry don't understand just sitting around having faith.
Prices up. The president sees these new tariffs as a means of economic redemption, a way to punish countries that he feels treat the U.S. unfairly.
Many countries have taken advantage of us.
He has acknowledged Americans could feel some short-term economic pain. The big question, how long will it last? Consumers now rattled and racing to make big purchases like cars before the tariffs hit.
This weekend alone, I think we sold and delivered probably about 40 cars, which is 20-30% above normal.
In Brooklyn, New York, Robert Samuel decided it wasn't worth the risk to wait.
Yeah, I was going to purchase a car later down the line, but now that it's been updated with these tariff prices affecting us, I decided to come in today and leave with one today.
This morning, the country and the world bracing for impact as President Trump prepares to...
All right. I think this was...
Here's 5 things you need to know about U.S. banks suddenly shutting down. Is your money safe? 1. Several major banks have filed closure notices for multiple branches across the U.S. These major U.S. banks include Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, TD Bank, and PNC. 2, the wave of closures is expected to intensify by the end of 2025. 3, why is this happening? Bank assets are dropping in value and they don't have enough assets to pay off their debts. These assets include cash, investments, loans, and reserves. 3, tech changes have made it more difficult for banks to make ends meet. More specifically, mobile banking or online banking, and the cost to make it run is astronomical. Not to mention, there's more competition now. Farther reach for customers because they don't have to leave their houses, right? They can bank from inside their house or their phones. They don't have to go to the branches, and they have a variety of banks to choose from. So therefore, a handful of banks don't have a hold on the market like they used to. 4, following the 2008 crash, stricter banking regulations were put into place. That's why they didn't like the CFPB, because the CFPB was the watchdog for the banks. So that has been dismantled, kinda, sorta, but it's on life support at this point. The role of the CFPB was to enforce federal financial consumer laws and protect consumers. Notice I said was because they want that thing gone or redefine how it works. And when they redefine how it works, the goal is not going to be to protect consumers. It's going to be to protect corporations. But I digress.
So let me go ahead and play this other clip about the banks as well. So give me just a second. Make sure I have that. Okay. And this is one more or less concerning Bank of America, but like she said, Wells Fargo, PNC, there's several banks being affected and they're all kind of doing the same thing. Not only are they closing down their branches, so a lot of physical locations, brick and mortar locations are shutting down, just like Joann's fabric store, just like, a lot of these businesses are closing down brick and mortar locations. A lot of these companies cannot afford to not only pay people, but pay the rent on the building, the utilities, things like that. And this is going to affect a lot of older people because while a lot of us younger folks or, millennials, Gen Zs, we're used to banking on the internet and using our phones to cash checks and all that stuff. Older people, especially boomers, they love going into a physical bank. For them, it's just, easier. They understand it. They've been doing it for the past 50 years. So it's going to be a lot harder for a lot of these older people when they need to cash their Social Security check or, just do whatever if there's not a physical branch in that location. So let's go ahead and I'm going to play this second video here.
Bank of America is shutting down more than just branches. They're canceling accounts too. With online banking taking over, BOA is quietly closing physical branches and flagging inactive accounts, which could cost you your money. If your account sits untouched for 3 years, it can be labeled abandoned. That means restricted access, or worse, your funds sent to the state under something called escapement laws. And it's not just checking and savings accounts. IRAs, CDs, investment accounts, safe deposit boxes, even uncashed cashier's checks, all at risk. You might get a warning letter, but if you miss it, that money could vanish from your control. Here's how to protect yourself. Log in regularly, make a small transfer, set up alerts or auto pay, stay active. Even once a year could save your account. A few simple clicks can make sure your cash doesn't disappear. Hit like and subscribe and
all right, so let me come back on the screen. The fact that we are living in a day and age where you have to literally check in with your app and say, hey, I'm still here. Don't just take my money and send it elsewhere is insane. Because for a lot of people, that's the point of having a savings account. You set it and forget it. You know what I mean? You put the money in there, you do what you got to do. And then when you need it, you come back, it should be there. But now they're literally saying that you need to touch your account minimum, once a year, that they can just consider your account abandoned. There are people on TikTok literally saying, I had 10 grand in my account. It's gone because I haven't checked this particular bank in a long time. So it's getting real out here. It really is. So now let's go ahead and watch some more stuff on the tariff here and how it's going to affect us. The stock market just plunged. So this broke about an hour ago. So we're going to watch this really quick. All right. Getting real.
We're coming on the air with breaking news about an exceptionally brutal day on Wall Street. President Trump's tariffs sparking a huge sell-off today, sending all three major markets plunging. The trading day there, you're hearing the bell ringing. It's closing. The free fall comes after the president's announcement yesterday to slap reciprocal tariffs on global trading partners. Let's look at the final numbers now on Wall Street. The Dow losing almost a little over 4% of its value. The S&P 500 losing about 5%. The NASDAQ down about 6%. Let's go to Christine Romans right now, who is at the New York Stock Exchange. Christine, we've seen bad days on Wall Street before that in the final hour, suddenly the buying opportunities and everything seems okay. This isn't that.
This is not that. In fact, you did not get any of that late day buying, people trying to find a bargain. They don't think there are any bargains here, at least right now. 1,700 points almost on the Dow Industrials, almost 5% on the S&P 500. Those are big one-day moves. In fact, when you look at the move in this market today, we haven't seen a day like this in the S&P and the NASDAQ since March, early 2020. Remember what was happening then? That was COVID, when the entire global economy was shutting down. So that was the last time we saw a really tough day like that. Dow had a bad day back in 2022. That was because of really sky-high inflation and the worries there. So that gives you a sense of just the dread among investors about what the president's tariff regime will mean for these companies and the big global supply chains.
Now, I also want to point out, because I know a lot of people are saying, why are they clapping? I don't know. Like, that kind of confused me too. But I think, not to put words in their mouth, they might be clapping because think about it. When the stock market goes down as much as it's done and the average person, has lost money, they're upset. Well, guess who can come in and buy all this stock at a low price? Because that's usually how purchases are made, especially when you have money. You buy when things are low. So to me, I feel like a lot of this is being tanked on purpose. So that way, the billionaires, millionaires, the people who got it, they'll be able to buy low and eventually it'll go back up. But I feel like a lot of this stuff is being done on purpose. It's definitely manipulation at this point of the stock market and everything else. So for me, I think that's why they're clapping, but I could be wrong.
That they depend on. Another average I like to look at is called the Russell 2000. That is 2,000 smaller companies. These are really the backbone of the American economy. That one down even worse, almost 7% at one point, Lester.
All right, Christine, I'll ask you to stand by while I turn to our senior White House correspondent, Gabe Gutierrez. He's in Doral, Florida, where the president is just about to land. Gabe, we're getting some mixed messaging from the White House on all this.
Yeah, that's right, Lester. For the last day or so, White House officials have been insisting that this change in tariff policy is not a negotiation. And yet, a short time ago, President Trump telling reporters that he wants the rest of the world to try and make a deal. Now, as you said, he is heading here to Florida, to his Doral Golf Club. But as he departed Washington, he did speak to reporters a short time ago. Here's what he said.
The markets are going to boom. The stock is going to boom. The country is going to boom. And the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong...
Oh, my God. The noise. Y'all know my ears. Oh, the helicopter noise. I'm trying to hear what he's saying, but that damn noise. Hurting my teeth. Y'all know I got the most sensitive ears. Ugh. All right, I'm going to try it again.
Wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
The president there in his role as cheerleader in chief, trying to calm those markets. But Lester, yesterday I spoke to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and I asked him what he would tell Americans who are worried that they may pay more in the short term. He said that they weren't really sure what the price effects will be, essentially adding to this uncertainty. But White House officials say that this is all part of their plan, the realignment of global trade, and to trust in Trump. Lester.
All right, thanks. Let me go back to Christine Romans again of the New York Stock Exchange. Christine, what does tomorrow and the day, next day, and the day after that look like here, assuming that these tariffs are laid in place?
Well, today the stock market lost $2 trillion in value. So you heard the president talk about the trillions will be coming in. Today, $2 trillion lost. And the big question is, will companies feel like there is certainty to make their investments? Will they be able to grow and move forward? Or are they going to be in a defensive crouch here and not spending money? That's when you start to see, a recession, potentially. Some economists are saying, others are saying that we could skirt a recession. But certainly a lot of questions here about what this means for business spending and what it means for hiring in the months ahead.
Yeah, and Christine, it's been interesting to listen all day to what's coming from different countries, the language, the talk about retaliation, or in some cases, a lack of talk about retaliation. Is that the other big shoe to drop here as to what other countries will do in response to this?
Absolutely, because we have seen this before in a trade war when one party fires a shot, another fires a shot back, and that could mean that U.S. products could be targeted. Really important exports that the U.S. has. I'm thinking like pork and soybeans and so many tech services and a lot of these places where the U.S. does run a big surplus.
This is going to have such a big trickle-down effect. When you have countries that are technically enemies, right? Like, let's talk about Japan and China real quick. They don't get along. They don't like each other. But guess what? They're willing to come together against us because of these tariffs. Other countries are going to find other people to trade with and to deal with. I mean, right now, we've even, literally secluded our allies. Look at all this stuff that's happened to Canada. And they've already said it. Canada and Mexico, they already said it. Things have already changed. You can't just go up there now. Now you need a passport to go to Canada. You need a passport to go to Mexico. Our electricity here in Minnesota is going to go up, at least by $100, they said. Yeah, maybe I can afford an extra $100, but I know a lot of people who can't. Like that extra $100 could be somebody's groceries. gas for their car. Even the other day I went to fill up my car. It was $70 to fill up my car. I'm like, damn, even gas is going back up. So it is. It's a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, I hear that too. Somebody, Ezek says, no pain, no gain, Trump. And I hear a lot of people saying that. But it's very easy to say no pain. And I'm not saying about you because, you know, I'm just saying in general. It's very easy for them to be like, no pain, no gain, when it doesn't affect you. You know, if you're a billionaire, multimillionaire, and you're so far removed from the situation, then of course there's no pain, no gain, right? Because you got it. But if you're somebody depending on the Social Security check, and every other week you don't know if they're going to cancel Social Security or not, that's a lot of pain. That's a lot of anxiety. I can imagine some of the old people who are having heart attacks and scared and getting sicker from stress because they don't know what's about to happen to Social Security. Because they say one thing, but it's hard to believe them because they've said one thing from the time they came into office, and so many things have changed. So yeah, it is. It's insane. Like all this stuff that's going on. So let me play this other video. Because of course, the people, like I said, who are going to be affected the most are low income.
That suggests these sweeping tariffs will hit Americans who already struggle the most, the hardest. And there's new evidence today that more Americans can't afford their medical care. It's from a new Gallup survey, and it finds the number of Americans who say they cannot afford medication or care in the last 3 months has reached its highest level in the 4 years since the survey started. This all comes at the same moment when Forbes says their billionaires list is bigger and richer than ever. Joining me now, Yale Budget Lab Executive Director Martha Gimbel. Martha, thanks for being with us. Take us through these numbers. How will these tariffs impact the lowest income Americans?
So the thing you have to keep in mind for lower income Americans is it's not just that they have less in income to weather a shock like this. It's also that they're spending more money on goods, right? They're buying food for their kids, they're buying clothing, they're paying for housing. And so if you look at the poorer Americans in this country, we'd expect them to see a hit of about $1,700. That's going to be really hard for them to weather. That's about 4% of their disposable income. To put that in context, that's about 2.5 times what we would expect it to be for the top decile.
Well, also, let me also come on and say this, right? She's saying that it's going to be hard, you know, for most Americans. That's an additional $1,700 that's going to come out because of these tariffs. But let's also have an honest discussion. Do you know how many people have been laid off? So it's going to be even harder to deal with these tariffs and these upcharges on groceries, gas, you know, your bills, when you've also been laid off. Like, it is really bad. Like, I know so many people right now who are laid off from their jobs. People who got degrees, you know what I'm saying? So it's not just like people who like work in, like, let's say fast food. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying the layoff is affecting everyone. Everyone. I don't care what sector. Even people who work for themselves. Let's say, like, you know, you have your own business, but a majority of your product is coming from China. The tariffs are going to affect your business. Then you got to turn around and pass that on to the consumer. But if the consumer ain't working, they're not buying nothing from your small mom and pop business. So you get how this really affects people. Petty Libra says she's laid off. Nate says they were fired. It's a lot of people. And it's like, I know I talked to one of my family members the other day, you know, because they got laid off and they're just trying to figure out, you know, what they can do. They're trying to look for work. They're on LinkedIn. And so, you know, I don't know about LinkedIn. I know, like, my old manager created me a LinkedIn page. I don't go on, I don't know, like, how LinkedIn works. So, and I was like, well, what is it? Like, I guess, like, I said, I guess I'm confused. So she was, like, literally breaking it down to me, because the last time I was, like, in the physical workforce when I did IT, you submitted your resume, you had an interview with human beings, you know, so the job market has changed. Like, the application process, you're not going online to apply now. Everybody's doing stuff through LinkedIn. And so she's saying that the issue that she's having is you're going on LinkedIn, you got your resume, you're looking for a job, you got these recruiters that are coming at you. So she was breaking down like the whole recruiting thing because I didn't even know about all this. And she said, it's almost like they'll reach out to you, you think you have a shot, but then they'll ghost you because I guess the recruiters, they have a quota to make. So they have to show that they're reaching out to people. And it's like, why y'all playing with people's emotions? People are really looking for work. But then the recruiters themselves are like in a catch-22 because they have to reach out to people regardless if they have a job or not to keep their jobs. And then she said also on LinkedIn, there are things where you can pay recruiters to find you a job. But I'm like, that's kind of sad that it's gotten to that point because if you're not working and you have no other income coming in, you don't have the extra money to pay somebody to find you a job. So I'm like, okay, well, if you pay them to find you a job, if they don't find you a job, do you get your money back? She was like, no. So even the hiring process right now is a mess out there, you guys. So one thing, if I cannot stress enough, if you have a job, it may be a crappy job. Your boss may be getting on your nerves. You might be tired. But if you can keep your job, hang on, hang in there, because it is so hard right now. It is so hard for people who have literally been laid off through no fault of their own. Everybody I know who's been laid off, they were good workers. They went to work every day. They weren't on fucking TikTok doing quiet quitting videos and all the stupid stuff that people were doing to cheat the system working from home. So people are, I mean, even today, there was a lot of people laid off, I believe in Iowa. It was like a construction company. Even like construction people are talking about a lot of layoffs that they're having because let's say you own your own home service business, you know, you're a roofer, you do, you know, construction. Well, a lot of those high earning people that you might be repairing their roof or doing their landscaping or cleaning their pool or whatever, all their money's tied up in the stock market. That bitch just crashed. So now they're sitting here frantic. They don't got no money to pay you to come fix their roof or come do landscaping. So the grass is going to look a little shoddy this year because of all of this stuff that's happening that's affecting everyone. Everything has a trickle-down effect. Yeah, right here. This was an hour ago. 160 layoffs. Let's see. Let me show y'all this article here. So yeah, 160 workers, you know, just laid off, and it's happening in every
Warren says
sector.
that 160 people are losing their jobs in Dubuque. Employees at ASM Global were notified Tuesday that they would be out of a job by June 30th. ASM Global has been the vendor for the Five Flags Center in Dubuque since 2004, but according to the Telegraph Herald, earlier this year, the city...
This is happening everywhere. The post office, massive layoffs. It's a lot going on. So let's finish that video, and then I'm going to show y'all another video that I want to share with y'all as well. So let's finish this one about the tariffs.
Well, the Trump administration says these tariffs may lead to some short-term pain, but that it'll be worth it because there's going to be a long-term game. And often they specifically cite, frankly, unspecified tax cuts that Republicans want. Does one nullify the other or make up for the other?
So one thing that's really important to keep in mind with the taxes that are under consideration is they're just talking about extending tax levels that are current. So if you're thinking about this from a normal person perspective, even if they extend the tax 2017 bill, you'll just see your tax rates stay the same, but the burden of what you're paying at the grocery store going way up. So it's not like the tax cuts are going to be any kind of relief here.
Well, experts say that the economy was on an upward trend and building at the end of the Biden administration. But in the 10 weeks since President Trump's inauguration, that trend has reversed and sometimes in a head-spinning fashion. So even if the administration would adjust course, let's say the complaints continue and they decide to back down. Could a recovery come as quickly as the dive did?
So, yes. However, one thing that is making a huge difference in the markets right now is that the markets are finally realizing that Donald Trump is serious, that he meant that he liked tariffs, that there is going to be an unpredictability to policy coming out of this administration. That is not what markets were expecting before January 20th. And so part of what you're seeing with the sellout is just people adjusting what they're expecting to see from this administration going forward. And I think it's really important to realize that political risk is also economic risk. And that is something that up to this point, markets had been unwilling to price in.
And let me ask you finally about the Forbes billionaires list, which just came out this week. It's bigger. They're richer than ever. Give us the context of what this kind of disparity looks like and how likely these tariffs do what Trump says they will, which is help everyone.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the tariffs really aren't going to help almost anyone. You already had announcements of layoffs at auto plants today. That was not something that I think many auto workers would have expected to be a response to the tariffs. And so I think it's really important to keep in mind that when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to a trade war, there's really no place to run, no place to hide. Prices are going up for everyone. There's going to be increasing job loss. And the uncertainty that's getting introduced into the economy is going to act as a drag moving forward. And that's bad for low-income people. And frankly, it's also bad for the billionaires.
Martha Gimbel.
All right, let me come back on the screen here. So, as you guys see, it's a lot going on, and I'm not trying to, don't come on here talking about I'm fear mongering and I'm doing too much. The people who want to receive the message will receive the message, but it's a lot. Even in the chat, Sweet Pisces says, I've been laid off from a company that I've been working at for 11 years from a health insurance company. The health insurance industry is getting hit really hard. Somebody else in the chat says, Miami says, they're in tech, and now people are joining camps and upskills to get help with networking jobs. When they get hired, they have to pay the camps. Wow. So yeah, again, this is going to affect everyone, like everything that's going on. And because of a lot of these tariffs, because when you think about it, these companies are having to pay more for a product, right? Depending on, let's say, she was saying that auto company laid off a lot of people today. So imagine how much they're now paying in like auto parts to get the cars shipped over. They're going to have to cut down the workforce. And especially if they don't have, people might be buying cars right now before the tariffs fully kick in. But what's going to happen 2-3 months from now when nobody's going to be buying any cars? They're going to have to lay people off. And I think what's very disturbing, if you guys do not know, I watched a documentary yesterday while I was potting my plants. The TSA, it's bad. They got rid of their union. There's been a lot of firings. And so now it's almost like you have these people who are supposed to protect the public. It's a federal program. They're supposed to make sure that, what needs to be on a plane is on a plane and what does not need to be on a plane is not on a plane. What happens when you hit them hard? Is that going to motivate them to want to do their job? Is that going to motivate them to really, check that bag twice as hard when they're not getting fair compensation? So I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a little bit of that clip here. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I'll probably post the full thing in Discord, but we're going to watch just a little bit of it because this came out yesterday. I don't know if y'all clock this T, but it says TSA officers have a dire warning for America. It was going viral. So I was like, yep, let me go ahead and watch this. And I was blowed.
Why I voted for him. But did I know it was going to threaten America? The America that I keep safe every day?
America's airport security has been thrown into chaos.
The Trump administration is ending collective bargaining for more than 50,000 TSA workers across the country.
According to TSA officers, the consequences could be deadly.
With this current administration, I was expecting it to bring order. To me, it just brought chaos.
In March, without warning, the Department of Homeland Security illegally ripped up the TSA's union contract.
These are the people responsible for staffing the airport, making sure things like weapons and explosives don't make their way through security.
We're going to see terrorist attacks. We're going to see vulnerabilities that should never, ever exist ever again.
Experts say this is part of a bigger plan, detailed in Project 2025, to cut staff, slow down security lines, and let the system fail.
They're using the keyword privatization to say, hey, we're cutting the fat, we're cutting TSA, but I think there's ulterior motives.
We spoke with airport security officers and flight attendants to understand the impact of Trump's unprecedented move against the TSA union and what it could mean for air travel and workers across the country.
All right, let me come back on the screen. So that's just a snippet. Y'all can go watch it on your own. But yeah, they're definitely trying to privatize the TSA. Greed knows no bounds. And when you think about this, like I said, the moves that they're making to dismantle the TSA, what do you guys think is going to happen at the airports? There's going to be longer lines, more delays, higher plane ticket cost. Again, trickle-down effect. Like, things are being destroyed on purpose to rebuild it in the favor of a few. That's how I really feel about all this stuff that's going on. From the stock market to TSA, it's about, helping the few, the ones who have it. So yeah, it is. It's a shame. So let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, you guys. How long I've been on here? Time be flying. Oh my, it's already 5:30. Okay, I've been on here for an hour. Please hit the like button if you guys are liking this stream. Please hit the like button, please. Let's see here. Scary for Anneries says, hi T, you've got me through high school. I'm now 23 in nursing school. Yesterday was my birthday. I'm on the go. I'll catch the playback. Love you. Happy belated birthday to you, and thank you so much for coming through with the super chat. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Beautiful Heart, Sim 499 says, notice he did not put tariffs on Russia. Meanwhile, I can no longer afford to buy extra food for kids that come to school to eat. I did peep that they weren't on the list. Funny enough, I did peep. Vietnam was on the list. All types of countries on the list that I didn't even know we had any real issues with. But yeah, funny enough, good old Vladimir wasn't there. Let's see here. Fabiola, Eugene Sim 499 says, love you T, love you too. Thank you so much, sis. Bianca Gutierrez, she sent $49.99. Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you for the support, sis. Appreciate you. Kit Finn sent 20, says, not them closing the banks after the tax returns hit and people taking people's money. How is it going? Oh, it's like it's breaking up. How is it going with the mobile availability? Small, like the drive-through banks, could work for older generations. All this rain flooded my garden. Thank you so much for this super chat, sis. Yeah, that whole banking thing is just insane. That's why I'm just letting y'all know this is what's going on. So definitely log into your apps, stop by your bank, let them know you're still here. I didn't, voluntarily leave my money and disappear. Let them know that you're still around and you have eyes on your money. Let's see here. Okay, Bianca sent $19.99 says, hi, just wanted to stop by and send some love and positive energy. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you for the 2 super chats as well. Erica Johnson sent 10, says, tariffs are the other tax on middle America. Another way to skirt 3 branches and snatch the pieces of the purse. Thank Thank you for that breakdown. Appreciate you. Aaliyah Truth says, as someone who has worked in the banking industry for over 17 years, enchantment is not new, y'all. The bank will also send plenty of notice. Yeah, I've heard of that. I don't think I said enchantment, chasement, I think is what it's called. I've heard of that, but what the issue is, it's happening more frequently. And that's the issue that people are finding out on social media. And if you have an account that's tied to an old email or they're not able to get a hold of you, the money is considered abandoned. And that's the main issue that people are having. And a lot of people are saying that even outside of that situation, their accounts are just being closed out. So yes, definitely discussions being had online. But thank you for the super chat, sis. Mandarins91 says, wait, do you remember earlier this year when major companies had their payrolls jacked up because of banking? Oh my gosh, this is wild. I think I remember that. Let's see here. Olga says, love you, T. I appreciate the hard work. Thank you so much, sis. Love you too. And thank you for coming through here. Shell sent $4 in UK money. Thank you so much, Shell. Jose Canteras sent $4.99, says, I needed this live, T. Love your channel. Also, what are your thoughts on Elon stepping back from the White House? It's getting messy. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that until like maybe 2 days ago, that he was stepping down from Doge and wanting to go back, to running his Tesla businesses. I think Elon bit off more than he could chew. Elon, unfortunately, is a narcissist, and they don't like when they're not getting praised. They don't like when people aren't liking them and in their face and saying, oh, you're so smart, you're a billionaire, and I want to be like you when I grow up. He's not used to getting this type of hate. Remember, he is our bootleg Tony Starks. He's used to being praised for, his so-called brilliance, for, Tesla and PayPal and all that stuff. But now he's being torn apart. People are burning his dealerships, burning the cars. He's one of the most hated people, unfortunately, in America. His ego can't take it. So for him, in order to save face and try and clean up the mess that he's made, he's ready to go back. He was mad at my governor. Tim Walz had him damn near in tears, honey, because Tim Walz was like, I don't feel bad for him. I'm glad his Tesla stock is tanking. Who cares? It should tank some more. Well, Elon got very pissed off and said Tim Walz was an evil person for, gloating about his Tesla stocks tumbling. But I guess what confused me about him being upset is I remember me doing a video not too long ago where he came on stage with a chainsaw. Y'all remember that? He came on, we're slashing federal workers. We're slashing all these peoples whose jobs don't matter. I'm like, bruh, this you? Wasn't this you not even 2 months ago? With the president of whatever damn country with a chainsaw? So it's funny that you want the same grace and empathy afforded to you that you didn't afford to all these people. Regardless of who these folks voted for, they didn't vote to lose their jobs. I don't care what side of the aisle that you're on. You still got to work and pay your bills and feed your family. So he had no care when it came to slicing, getting rid of government waste, being more so-called efficient. He had no sympathy for those people who just lost their job, who were voters of Trump, who also lost their jobs. He didn't care. Remember, they fired the nuclear stockpile people. And then they realized, we might need those people in case we're under attack because we're on the cusp of World War III. So they had to rehire them back. So I feel no ways. Right now, you got regular people today whose stock has tanked. They went to bed with a certain amount of money in the stock market. It's tanked. Are they allowed to get on the news and cry and boo-hoo? No. They just got to take it on the chin and have faith. You got to have faith. Oh, y'all remember George Michael's, honey. It's a mess. Let's see here. Shy B sent $50. Thank you so much, Shy B. She says, hey, T, I hope all is well. We are trying to hire another person for my department. We are getting no hits within the U.S. or in the industry. Once the company opted into the $50 a day premium, we received several qualified candidates. Wow. Are you talking about the thing on LinkedIn? So is LinkedIn like running some type of hustle? Like this is, so when y'all was just putting the notifications on there, free, like a virtual posting and saying, hey, we got we need to hire somebody. We have, an open position in this department. Y'all got no hits. But the second y'all greased some palms, all of a sudden here comes, and she said $50 a day premium. So not $50 a month, $50 a day. All of a sudden here comes all the eligible candidates. Wow. Wow. You just spilled some tea because I didn't even look at it from that angle. I'm just learning what the hell LinkedIn is and what it does. So, my thing is, how is this fair? Like, this is insane. You got people who need jobs. You have some companies who are looking for people to fill the positions. And then you have all these middlemen. And like everything is just corporate greed. Everything is greed nowadays. I remember using Indeed, .com, Monster. I remember monsterjobs.com, hiring.com. I never paid anything. I put my resume on there and, kept my fingers crossed. And you would actually have people calling you and wanting to do interviews. So now we've turned giving people a job into a hustle. That's crazy. Like y'all are teaching me something new. Because I was blown away when, my family member was telling me that basically they have recruiters who will talk to you and have you hyped up like they're going to get you a job and then ghost you because they met their quota. $50 a day. That is insane. That is insane. And then I also heard you can't even go to jobs anymore and drop off your resume because I'm just trying to give advice, child. I don't know. I haven't applied for a regular job, like I said, since I did IT. So I'm like, well, can you just bring them your resume? They said a lot of jobs, they don't want you on their premises. I said, well, damn. I remember back in there, you could bring your application, bring your resume, you bring it to the receptionist, I said, damn, shit has changed. Everything is online now. And then she was telling me that a lot of it is AI. A lot of the people aren't even reading your resume. It's being ran through AI, and then AI is deciding if you're worthy of them even calling you back. All I can say is, if you have a job, hold on to it. It is a lot of games being played out here. Somebody say, don't even call. Nope, you can't go face to face. Somebody said it used to be $1 or $5 to post as an employer on Indeed. Now it's over $100. And some have a subscription paywall. So imagine if you're a little company. If I'm like a little mom and pop shop and I want to hire somebody. You know what? Now that I think about it, YouTube did that shit. So for y'all who don't know, YouTube has started something like, I don't know, chat, maybe a year or two ago, where YouTubers can come together and look for people in the community, who do like editing, storyboard writing. So you can say, you can put up your resume or quote unquote and be like, oh, I'm, YouTuber Lovely T, and I'm looking for some editors. And so I'm like, oh, this is a really good thing, because they were sending us emails like, oh, y'all, sign up for this. This is the way to, help your channel grow and all types of stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me go ahead and sign up for this. Maybe I can find some editors to help relieve some of the work. And so I go, I fill out all this shit. And then they charged a fee. Like this part, like it just like dawned on me what you're saying, like a subscription. So in order for me to be matched up with the people, with the editors and the storyboard writers and whatever else, I got to pay a fee. And then those people got to pay a fee to look for me as a YouTuber. I'm like putting two and two together. YouTube is doing the same shit too. It's like a YouTube LinkedIn now that I think about it. Child, I seen that. I was like, next. Next. Let me go back to, doing it myself. Too much of a headache. Yeah, so they're doing the same thing too. It's just not connecting for me with y'all telling me this stuff. Somebody said the best way to get a job is face-to-face at a job fair, going to a veteran one. Yeah, it is. I know my youngest, congrats to him. He'll be graduating carpentry school in April. So he got his OSHA card. He's doing really well. So he's been doing job fair interviews, and he's had a few companies that want to hire him. So that's the one thing that they've been pushing in the trades is job fairs. So I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree. All right, let me go ahead and read some more. KP sent $9.99. She says, after leaving my job for another, I was fired in 2023. After being out of a job for 6 months, my old company called me for a new position in June of 2024. Thank God. That's a blessing. And that's good that you were able to go back. So that means that your work and your work ethic really stood out for them to reach back out to you, because a lot of employers, they won't circle back around. So kudos to you. That's awesome. Let's see here. Chemistry says, hey, Leo sister, President Trump is a clown. One thing about it is this country is going to go boom, all right. Yeah. It's like, I feel like it's just like a ticking time bomb at this point. It's getting crazy. Nihilist Prison says, have you looked at what they just did to Meals on Wheels program? They essentially gutted that whole agency. Now a lot of elderly people are in limbo with those meals that they have been getting. I did not know that. Fun fact, when I was a teenager, I used to volunteer for Meals on Wheels. And we would go to the older people's homes, and bring them their meals. So I didn't even know that. Wow. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the point of all this? It's like you're just like really trying to stress people out. Get them so stressed that they get sick and die or something. Because what is the point of, canceling Meals on Wheels? That's been around since, like I said, before I was a kid. That's been around forever. Thank you for that information. I didn't even know about that. And that's the problem. It's so much information coming out that it's hard to keep up. Look at all the information I've been learning just on this stream. Look at all the information I've been giving y'all just on this stream. Because it's like, you're over here looking at this TSA thing. Well, now this is going on over here. This is breaking right here. It's just chaos. That's why I just took a break this week. I'm like, I just don't want to know anything right now. I'm just going to focus on gardening because it was just so much. Let's see here. Chandy sent 1999 says, maybe Zuckerberg knew this was coming. That's why he left the bunker. That's why he built the bunker. When there's no jobs, no resources, what's going to happen? Maybe eat the rich. Yeah, I think a lot of people know that this is coming. And like I said, a lot of this too is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. An empire can only stand for so long. I am Mike Nice sent $49.99. Says, what's good, T family? Thank you so much. Thank you for the love. We're going to have another Zoom meeting. We're going to do it tomorrow because this week went by so fast. Like I said, I didn't even realize it. So we'll have a Zoom meeting Friday. So hopefully we'll see you on Friday. And thank you guys as well during that Zoom for giving me a lot of good information to relay back to my child, as far as safety and, being able to stop if he feels unsafe during a job. So that was me and him had that conversation the other day. So, and he said he knew about that as well. So I just kind of reiterated to him the safety stuff. And the old head who fell, he's walking with a limp and he's quiet. He has not said 2 words to them since that happened. So, sometimes these old heads feel like they know everything. Now he walking with a limp while the young ones is straight. So that was a conversation we had on Zoom. I know y'all like, what the fuck is she talking about? Long story, but I'm just giving y'all a quick update, child. Because I was sure enough asking about the old man yesterday, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, he's just quiet now. He just comes to class and sits down. He limps to class quietly. But let's see here. Moonlight says, why am I starting to think that they want us to be afraid to leave the U.S.? I think of The Handmaid's Tale. This is all by design. I need to get back into The Handmaid's Tale because I watched it for like the first season and then it just got to be too much. So I might need to go back and revisit it. I swear. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead because I've been on here for over an hour. Let's talk about what's going on with Lemon Pepper Stepper. So a lot of y'all know Lemmy Plummer. He is the so-called CEO of Zeus Network. For years, him and Natalie Nunn claimed that, they ran it. Natalie Nunn was right under him. He's the CEO. He started this by himself. It came from his father, because remember, initially it was a Christian network, and his father, was in the church. And so he's been doing a lot of fronting for years. And influencer YouTuber, Day Storm, he came out and he blasted Lemmy a few days ago. Because remember when I did the video on Lemmy not too long ago, I put a clip of Tokyo Tony when I was talking about the dark side of Zeus Network and how the Aaron the plumber guy was saying that, Zeus is a demonic network. And so in that clip, I put a clip of Tokyo Tony. And Tokyo Tony was saying that the owner of Zeus Network is a white woman. Okay? So that threw a lot of people off. Like, well, I thought Lemmy owned Zeus Network. And so Lemmy, they said, has been trying hard to keep all of this under wraps and to change the narrative. But Day Storm, because the white lady, I forget her name, forgive me, she came out blasting him and basically saying that, they've been in a lawsuit with Lemmy for years now, and they want their rightful share. Again, like I said, when the money is not moneying, the truth will come out. Okay? So let's go ahead and watch what Day Storm had to say about the situation. Give me just a second here. Okay. I got so many screens up. Sorry, y'all. All right, so that is Day Storm. He's an OG YouTuber, so we're going to go ahead and hear what he has to say. You see, now let me read this tweet to y'all that he has posted. Lemmy says, Amanda, stop lying to these people. You are a fraud. You buy your followers and likes. I am the creator, investor, and founder and CEO of Zeus. Thank ya. Just as sassy. Okay.
Lies. But let me tell you something. So I see Lemmy Plummer, or Lemon Pepper as y'all call him, is up on X spewing lies. But let me tell you something. Never trust tweets, only trust receipts. I'm about to break down for you the entire situation when it comes to Zeus ownership. I get a call from a good friend of mine, Lamorne Morris. Congrats on your Emmy, by the way, my brother. Lamorne tells me that he has a colleague named Lemmy Plummer who wants to meet with me about starting a social network. His pitch was he wanted to start a black Netflix for influencers and call it the Social Network, which was already a Facebook movie, by the way. He offered me a good amount of equity in the company and said he was going to look out for Lamorne for connecting us. He never looked out for Lamorne. Now, at the time, I had the biggest series on the internet called The Cart Series. Wait, baby, don't do that. No. At over 500 million views, it was nominated for an Emmy, 4 Streamies, winning 2. Then Lemmy asked me, are there any other influencers I could bring on as partners because we needed some heavy hitters in social media for this thing to work. I said, how about I reach out to another longtime friend of mine, King Batch. He had the numbers. Lemmy agreed. Batch agreed to join. Lemmy said we need one more partner, some diversity. So Batch reached out to Jake Paul, but Jake was working on another project and said, I'll at least give y'all an episode on round 1.
Welcome to the Taj Mahal.
Then Batch said, what about another good friend of ours, Amanda Cerny? She was getting millions of views, making millions of dollars off of brand deals. We all agreed. Now at this point, I broke down my equity so myself, Batch, and Amanda could have even equity across the board, and we all became co-founders.
I met with Day Storm, King Batch, and Amanda Cerny, who were pretty big influencers
influencers.
Yes.
And we ended up, I brought them on board.
Lemmy was supposed to be behind the scenes as the CEO, and the three of us were to be the face of the network, myself as the president. In the coming weeks, we started a group chat, and the founders came up with a new name for the social network. Some of the names was trash. Then one day I thought, wait, Nike was a Greek god. They were successful with their shoe and apparel line. Why don't we name ourselves after a Greek god? Let's be Zeus. So then Amanda's like, I had a dog named Zeus. Shoot, I like it.
Daystorm actually came up with the names.
Isn't that interesting? Remember what I said in the other video, and I broke down, the name of Zeus and opening Pandora's box. Remember I did that whole Greek mythology breakdown of Zeus, the name of it. And it's very interesting that he is now admitting that they named the network after the Greek Zeus god.
Named Zeus, we were strategizing and talking about different names.
So then became the Zeus Network. In our operating agreement, Lemmy's job was to put up the money for the first round of content, which he'd get back soon as we launched. Myself, Batch, and Amanda's job was to use our audience and our face and our likeness to blow up the company and give it a legitimate name. Lemmy's like, look guys, I'm a nobody, and you guys have the influence and celebrity to make this work. So that summer, we went hard as hell.
Zeus just came out today. You on this nigga, you gonna die. At what point did you hear me say Zeus, man?
When you looked at me and said Zeus?
Why did it mute? Okay, maybe audio.
So that we could have enough content to live on the platform when it launched. To drive the necessary traffic to the platform, the flagship shows would be Batch, Amanda, and I also agreed to put season 2 of Caught onto Zeus. Shit, I even called in a favor from Uncle Snoop to pop up in the series, and he looked out for me.
Let's tear us apart. Strike one. You've been watching too much Zeus, nephew.
And then we spoke to 25 other creators who are also friends of ours and told them we'll give them a free series on Zeus if they promote the app. Let me promise all of them that they would get a percentage of the subscriptions. They didn't get a dime. So approaching the launch of Zeus, Lemmy calls me up crying, talking about the whole network about to go under because I ran out of money. I physically went into the office that entire summer and edited 4 series for Zeus. Then I put up $135,000 of my own money, paying for Bad Escorts, Caught Season 2, and 4 other creative series. Now, bear in mind, contractually, we weren't supposed to put up any money. But Lemmy said, I'm gonna pay you back as soon as Zeus launches and we're profitable. Now, every show on Zeus has music in the background, but keep in mind, we had no more budget for music. So I called in another favor from my good friend Tommy Brown and Franks, and I said, yo, we need beats for Zeus. They done produced everything from Ariana Grande to Justin Bieber. Tommy gave us over 1,000 beats with a promise from Lemmy that they'd get paid back once Zeus was profitable. They never got paid. We understood that Zeus couldn't just be successful in social media, and we needed a partner in traditional media. So I talked to my boy Fonz, and he links me with Tiffany, who works at SAG-AFTRA. Zeus ended up signing a historic deal as the first social platform to partner with SAG-AFTRA. And because of this partnership, I was also able to get a lot of the creators and actors their SAG card because they had shows and series on Zeus. And let me end up stabbing SAG-AFTRA in the back, by the way. This is why I say don't trust tweets. Only trust receipts. Let's keep it going.
Now, if you're from LA, I see. Okay, Martin Lewis, I see you. Because I was confused as to why it muted. But if you're from LA, y'all know that SAG-AFTRA is a big deal. To get like a, SAG-AFTRA card. I had one. It took me about 2 years to get mine before I left LA. So them being able to be the first online network to connect with SAG-AFTRA was groundbreaking, because SAG wasn't really fooling, especially back then, with social media. They're about television and movies, the elite of the elite. So for him to be able to hook that up and, see none of the profits is insane to me.
Now, since Zeus was a new platform and app, there was a lot of bugs that needed fixing. Now, our original tech partner, Nick, warned Lemmy that there was going to be some bugs and problems on launch day. But Lemmy ain't listen for shit. With his Napoleon complex, him and Nick used to get into it. So we throw this big-ass launch party in LA. We had ice sculptures, DJs, red carpet, big screens. Amanda bit the bullet and did this big-ass deal with Diageo for half her rate so we could have Ciroc as a sponsor. We was in it.
It came together. We're doing our pre-launch party, so
coming out July 13th. I'm super stoked.
On launch day, all the creators who had a show on the platform promoted the hell out of Zeus, and over 45,000 people joined the platform that day. So now we on Easy Street. Until the next day, we get a call from our tech partner, Nick, who said there was a glitch in the system and everybody got into Zeus for free. We had to boot everybody out of Zeus and ask them to rejoin for the subscription price. And if you know anything about people, they ain't paying for shit after they got it for free. So the first round of Zeus was a wash. We had to scramble and come up with a plan for round 2 with no money. Then King Batch comes in clutch and saves the day and brings in our 5th partner, a silent investor named Ben Koo, who put up the funds we needed for round 2. On round 2, we changed up the plan and we used the funds from Ben Koo to make longer form content. Amanda secured Lil Tay, who was huge at the time. Bat secured B. Simone, who was huge at the time. I secured Quay, who was huge at the time. And Lemmy secured Michael Blackson. Those shows with TT being the flagship gave us enough subscribers and enough income to make it to the next season for even bigger shows. Now Lemmy controlled all the money at Zeus. And at this point, myself, Batch, and Amanda were pushed out while Lemmy's taking these interviews acting like he did it all by himself.
But you did have partners. She did have partners. What happened to them niggas?
You tell me.
Man, I'll Google this shit. Stop it, man. No, I remember seeing them.
You tell me.
So you bought them out, right?
You tell me what happened to these guys.
No, King Bach. Yeah. So King Bach, Amanda Cerny. That's what I was like. That's when they were lit.
Like I said, I created Zeus. I ended up investing my own capital. They didn't put in any money. They didn't do anything.
He seized all his Zeus accounts, got himself all this heavy security, and started spewing lies.
I thought they would bring some value, bring some money to the table, and do their thing, and they didn't.
Let me tell you something. Anybody who needs that kind of security is either super famous or did a lot of people dirty.
Part of what makes this whole platform special is, yes, you guys are partners and owners with me in this. And what you bring to the table, like you said, is relationships. People would not do this if it wasn't because of you and King Batch and Amanda.
Now, when you have a successful company like Zeus, you do something called partner payouts. Lemmy pays himself, but never pays his partners. To be totally transparent, we had a falling out because a good friend of ours, who is now a successful Latin artist and used to be Lemmy's assistant, told us that he sexually assaulted her. Till this day, myself, Batch, and Amanda, we received K-1 tax documents stating that we make millions of dollars from the Zeus Network as partners. So we're paying taxes on money that we never received. So while Lemmy Plummer walks through Paris with 5 security guards and designer clothes,
The devil is a lie. I wish the fuck I would be paying taxes on some shit that I'm not receiving any type of monetary benefit from. Lemmy needs his ass whooped. That's insane.
and purchases. Let me just read this. New home, RVs.
Lemmy done bought me a truck for my birthday.
The Zeus Network bought you.
Zeus bought it.
Cybertrucks, cars, jewelry, and he's giving out bags to everybody who walks through Zeus's door. The partners who initially kept the lights on and made Zeus what it is today received nothing. Don't let the internet and lemon pepper fool you. We put them on. This guy's a fraud. I had a call a few years back with Lemmy and a Jason Tobert, who's also works there and is too cowardly to say something because he was on the phone call. And Lemmy is like, you guys are fucking losers. I'm going to drag this case until you all broke. Zeus is worth $1 billion. You can't beat the machine. You'll never beat Zeus. And he's been dragging it. We spent over $1 million on lawyers already. Oh, they're not even part of the company. We have to sit up there and prove that he's on some bullshit. So we'll spend 3 months and a couple $100,000 just to prove that he's telling another fucking lie. We've been literally fighting this dude in court for 2 years, y'all. I found out that Zeus has multiple lawsuits that Lemmy done settled behind our backs. And when you hear all these women on TikTok or you hear Ray J going off and shit.
To all the women that's going through this with Lemmy and going through this with Zeus, like we hear you and we're gonna help you.
We're gonna stay in this room for 3 to 4 hours until you do what I tell you to do.
I don't f with that nigga.
Why not? Wait. You worked with him
he's
before?
like the Black Harvey Weinstein.
So while Lemmy flies on his private jets and throws out money to crowds off of a career full of lies, keep in mind that if he can do this to his partners, imagine what he would do to someone who is not. Anyway, y'all, this has been my TED Talk. I just wanted to explain to y'all the ownership of the Zeus Network, and you're looking at the fucking president.
Let me come back on the screen, child. Daystorm had a message. So let me read this message, honey, from Martin Lewis. He's in the chat. He says, this all came out after your video, T. It made some waves. I had no idea that my video was going to make that many waves, child. I just be trying to put my little content out there and keep it pushing. But it is very interesting that after I made the video about Zeus being demonic, that, you know, all of this is coming out and it's showing you Lemmy's true character. Now, I've been saying for a long time that Lemon Pepper Stepper is, to me, from what I've seen, from receipts I've gathered, from deep dives I've done, he is the Diddy, allegedly, of Zeus Network. Hence why him and Diddy was running together and all that stuff. There has been audio of people who have come out. There was audio that came out not too long ago of a transgender young man who was sent out to Nigeria, he says, with Natalie Nunn, and Natalie Nunn basically had him sleep with a bunch of Nigerian men. You know, a lot of these girls are flying to all these exotical places and got, you know, bags and shoes and yes, it looks glamorous. Yes, everything looks just, oh my gosh, I wish I could be a baddie too. I want to live that lifestyle. But like I always tell y'all, one thing about the devil is that the devil gives gifts too. And the devil will come home to collect. And when you start business on a bad foundation, and when you start business with the mentality to burn people who are your business partners, and I believe what Daystorm is saying. I've never really done any videos on Daystorm. I haven't talked to him in years, you know what I'm saying? He's always been cool. But Daystorm hasn't been in any real trouble. I haven't heard about him, you know, being a shyster and, you know, doing sneaky stuff to people. And I remember when Zeus Network started, I remember seeing all three of them with Lemon Pepper Stepper, King Bach, Daystorm. I remember seeing them together because that's when that TT show was out and stuff like that. And it seemed to me like an influencer network. And then all of a sudden, it took off with baddies, right, with Natalie Nunn. That definitely resurrected her career. She didn't have to sell as much coochie, allegedly, you know. But again, like I always say, things are smoke and mirrors. And when the money is not moneying, eventually the truth will come out. And I'm not saying that any of these people are struggling or broke, because they probably made more money than I could ever even imagine from YouTube, because they used to go viral as soon as they drop something. But what I'm saying is that it's not right for people to come in, put in their blood, sweat, and equity, and then you forget the people who brought you to where you're at. But see, this is what happens when people are moving with ego, narcissism, and dishonesty. This is a man that was raised in the church. His daddy's a pastor. This is the definition of selling your soul. I don't care what anybody says. Y'all can be like, oh, you be trying to go too deep. This is the definition of selling your soul. Because how do you go from being a pastor's child to running a Christian network to going to guys? Nobody knew who he was like that, but we all knew Daystorm. We knew King Bach, and y'all knew the other girl. I didn't know her. But you went to them in good faith. You went to them saying, you know, let's all bring a business together. Let's all, do something as men. We have all this talent. We have all this creativity. You know, we're always talking about Black people need to start businesses. We need to work with other Black people. But isn't it funny that it be the same Black people that would then turn around and do you wrong? This was started with pure intentions. And now he's telling them, you're not all that. I'm just totally rewrote history. As if we're dumb and there's not receipts, and as if we didn't see you with these three people initially. Rewrote history. But this is what happens when you're somebody who wasn't really popular in school, nerdy, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have that swag, even the way they talk to him, on baddies. Like, he's just not that guy. Nothing wrong with being small in stature, but you can tell he was not that guy. So when you have somebody who is never that guy, and then they get a little bit of fame, a little bit of ego, it's a recipe to create a monster. Because people who have always had it, and I'm not saying that you have to be like the most popular guy in school, but people who always walk with a certain confidence about themselves, not an arrogance, just a confidence, money don't move you like that. Because you've had it, you've lost it, you've been able to rebuild it, you move in a different purpose. It's folks who've never had shit that are overly braggadocious, nasty, just scummy, can't keep a fucking friend, always quick to like turn on other people because they ain't never had shit. So the second they get a little bit of something, they got to let the world know. So instead of paying the folks who actually helped you, giving them their fair share, yet and still you can buy Jonathan RVs, you can throw money, you can buy Dior bags. That is such a slap in the face. It's such a slap in the face. And that's the thing I never understand is that once you get into a position and you're blessed to see the fruits of your labor, you're making money hand over fist. This is a subscription network, which was a great model. They don't have to depend on advertisers. This is subscription based, okay? People are paying them. I don't know how much they charge right now. Is it $2 a month, $5? At least $5 a month. They might have raised the price. I don't know. But let's just say $5 a month. They have millions of people watching baddies. As low vibrational as it is, millions of people watching it. So he is making millions of dollars. So why not just be fair? That's what I never understand. Imagine if you just moved fair. Just be fair with people. It's so much less of a headache. I mean, okay, so it's $5.99. Yeah, it does not make any sense. Somebody said $2. No, they're saying it's $5.99. So that just goes to show you, you know what I'm saying, how much of a snake he is. You basically took what all y'all built and ran off when all y'all should have been eating. Why do we do this to each other? Everybody should be good. We're all, you know what I'm saying, trying to build generational wealth and make sure our families and our kids are okay. You've made more than enough money hand over fist. Why not just be fair to the people who got you to where you're at? He said he took $130,000 and invested it into the company to help him out because, you know, before they were able to launch the app, Lemmy ran out of money. How do you forget the folks who helped you? That makes no sense to me. And see, when you do people like that, it comes back tenfold. You can't be moving wrong. You can't be doing people who had nothing but pure intentions for you wrong. Because one thing God don't play about his people. And when you move with good intentions and when you genuinely try to help somebody and you move with a genuine spirit and you get shitted on and mistreated, oh, it's going to come back. Karma always spins the block. You don't have to address anything. Karma always spins the block. And I think he's starting to get his karma. I think his little empire is starting to crumble. It's starting to crumble. Him and Natalie got into it yesterday. None of the girls get along. I finally caught some episodes of Baddie because Emily kept talking about this girl named Summer. I didn't know who the hell Summer was. I said, let me just go ahead and watch some of these episodes. Summer is batshit crazy. But I get it. She's playing it up for the cameras. Big Lex whipped the hell out of Jayla. So I'm like, nothing has changed. You can literally play an episode of Baddies from any season. There's no growth. It's nothing but drama. None of them are real friends. Natalie was sitting there saying that Scotty's ugly and that's why she put Big Lex on this show and Big Lex looks better than Scotty. But that's supposed to be your homegirl. When y'all started the show on season 1, oh, that's my friend from North Carolina, Scotty with the body. Do y'all understand like the jealousy, the animosity? Because look who's running the network. Look what the network was built on. It's sad. So let's go ahead and play the clip of Natalie. And this went viral last night all over social media. Oh, but let me show y'all this. He did reply back to Daystorm a few days ago. So let me pull this up. This was his response to Daystorm. That's Lemmy here. Let's see his response. Okay. He says, I will address the accusations made by Daystorm Power head on very soon, along with real receipts. However, let's be clear, the issue is being addressed in an actual court, not the court of public opinion. Zeus is still in litigation against Daystorm. I chose to take the professional route and remain silent and allow the legal process that has been ongoing for the past few years to continue to judgment. I chose not to cast aspersions on others nor comment on falsehoods. On behalf of my team and the countless individuals who have contributed to making Zeus the success it is today, I remain and will continue to remain focused on business. But again, I ask, if you were a real friend, Lemmy, why did it even have to go to court? And why is it sitting in court so long? If these people genuinely helped you at some point in time, helped you get money in your pocket, because again, nobody knew who you were. We knew who these three people were. We didn't know you. So if these people were brought in to help build this brand, why not just pay them what you owe? Even if you don't want to move forward, there should have been some type of buyout. It shouldn't even got to this point. So let's go ahead and watch this Natalie Nunn drama. Let me pull this up here real quick.
Look at him, the delusional Zeus Network. Go ahead. Show them what you were saying. It's the Jew. Do too much, you lied. Tell the world that. Tell him.
Call your boyfriend. Call Louis. Call Louis.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Hey, where's him? Look at him. Oh, here he goes.
Now you notice he's saying, call your boyfriend, call Louis, and she's trying to scream. Again, Natalie is supposed to be married. This is supposed to be a married woman. This is a woman who's my age. We're all in our 40s, okay? And you're sitting here running around with these young girls instead of being some type of role model to them. And ain't Jayla older too? No shade, but I'm assuming Jayla's closer to Natalie's age. And y'all are in competition with girls that are young enough to be your daughters. I got a 24-year-old. Summer, all them girls could be my daughters. Y'all sit here and y'all instigate fights. You're cheating on your husband. You're on OnlyFans playing with your coochie. It's too much. It's too much going on here.
Here he goes. Here he goes. Yes, look at, here he goes. Look at this guy. Ah. Why you touching me? What did I say? What did I say? That's the weirdo right there. Wait until I tell the truth. Wait until I tell the truth about this nigga right here. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Ah. You holding me hostage. I said let the driver go. Hostage. Hey, I asked you to get in the car and let him go. He just told everybody to get out. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. You guys. Hostage.
So now she's
Held
muting.
Hostage. Held hostage. Because you want to do weird shit and I call you out.
She's muting whatever he's saying.
Held hostage. Held hostage.
She's muting the conversation.
Games. I don't care. I asked you guys to move the car. I said I was going to do my scene. No. Yeah. Look, here he goes. Every day. Every day. Oh, whoa, you guys are delusional. Hey, I asked you. Why is the car still here? Yeah, now you guys got the look, why is the car still here? I asked you guys to start the car. He want to kick everybody out. Hey, June, here we go.
Looking stupid. Please stop. You sitting there looking stupid.
Yeah, and you got me held hostage and the whole motherfucking shit.
I'm not a baddie. I don't care. You don't.
You are a baddie. With a phone up your ass, bitch. Stop fucking talking.
I hate the fact that she keeps muting. If you bought that life, let it put it on the floor.
Yeah, I'm a retard. Here we go. Y'all, I'm not getting, I don't need another minute. No.
Obviously, he's clocking her tea and he's saying some stuff about her because she keeps hitting the mute button.
Already up the street. I said I want to leave. So the car's not moving because you're the boss. Nigga, you're not the boss of me. You're not. So let me go. So let me go.
Baddie, y'all some clowns.
Fucking weird. Let me go. Shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm not your fucking hoes. I'll talk to you however the fuck I want. I ain't never fucked you and I'm not fucking you. So shut the fuck up talking to me like I'm one of your bitches.
She's muting again.
No. You guys don't respect me. You guys throw rocks and hide hands. I never said put Biggie on a timeout. I never set up Ivory. I never did none of that shit. Y'all keep playing with me, hiding behind motherfuckers that really are the motherfuckers, and then you guys want to act like, oh no, Natalie. I asked you no. I told the car to just go. You guys, I'm still sitting here. I'm still sitting here. I don't give a fuck. I'm on live. And what are you gonna do, L'Oreal? I've been nothing but respectful to you too. The plumbers have lost their minds. Period. No, it is, because I asked you guys nicely to leave me the fuck alone. You guys keep doing shit and hiding behind me. I said, when would you like me to address it? When? In this scene or the next scene? Because you guys keep playing with me. I got this out of now. Let's tell the truth. When are y'all ready? I got the real tea. Because I'm going to get paid either way. What'd he say? He told security not to protect me. I am live. Look at the plumbers whispering, doing weird shit like they always do. I don't care. I asked you guys to put my security in the car and let me go. Oh, come on. Hurry up, guys. Oh, my God, they're watching. Shut the fuck up. I said, let me the fuck go. Y'all thought I was playing with you, but I told you I wasn't. Let's go. It's a wrap. You want to see whose show it is? Or is it Lemmy Plummer's show? It's a wrap. And I said what the fuck I said. And I'm not done talking. I'm not fucking done. Ashley, I'm not fucking done. I love you guys. I pray that everybody... Oh, now he's going to hold my car hostage again. Everybody has to get away from my vehicle. Here we go.
This is a shame. How much is left on this? Girl, unmute your shit and let's go. Okay. All right. I guess she keeps it muted. We can move on. That is a mess. That is a straight up mess. But the people who are asking, Natalie Nunn is 40. I don't know why y'all trying to sit here and tell me that she's 35. Natalie Nunn is 40 years old. She's a grown woman. Now, I don't know about all the other girls on the show. I just assumed Summer was younger because she comes off like there's something kind of off with her. You know, she just seems real young-minded, so I don't know. But the point is, she is old enough to be some of these people that come on this show, especially like the 20, 21-year-olds, to be their parent. And it's like just all the carrying on, all the drinking. That's all you see. From dusk to dawn, they're drinking, they're getting high. You know, they're just going to the club to go dance. It's just giving escort at this point. And I think the problem is, you know, she's done too much to fall back from the situation. She's gotten accustomed to the lifestyle. She's gotten accustomed to the money. And right now, it's like she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I think the whole Zeus empire is cracking. I think the facade is cracking. You got Day storming them, exposing him. Now you got him and Natalie getting into it. You have a lot of the girls. They say that every season. I think Scotty was saying she didn't want to come back. Then she came back. But I guess for me, what is just very bothersome is the auditions. How they just exploit a lot of these girls. And I'm not saying that it's not these girls' fault because they're grown. But I guess for me, it's sad because you can see the desperation in these people, in all the girls. The desperation of just wanting to make it, wanting to be seen. Some of them are coming up there with actual talent. They can sing, they can rap. But the only thing they're worried about is exploiting them. Having them fight on camera, having them, show out and do all types of stuff. Then these girls have to go back to their city after acting a fool on the audition and not getting picked. Because a lot of the girls that they end up picking tend to be, for people that were already around them anyways. Friends that they know behind the scenes. So they're not even really picking newbies for real. So I think eventually the show will run its course like any show. But I think what keeps it is the violence, is the fighting. That's what people tune in for. And it's always funny when they complain. I think Summer got her ass whooped through the whole season from what people were saying. She's just constantly fighting. She wouldn't stop, constantly butting into people's conversations. But during the Lex and Jayla fight, I was just really shocked at that. I'm like, there's no way in hell, at what age do you get tired of this? Did somebody said Jayla's 35? The average 35-year-old is not out here just, in brawls. The shit is crazy. I get it when you're in your 20s. But once you hit your 30s, especially mid-30s, closer to 40 than 30, don't you want peace in your life? I'm not about to be sitting here squaring up with some damn 6-foot basketball player who can box. None of them want to know smoke from Big Lex. Scotty was scared. Natalie didn't want no smoke. A mess. A mess. That's why I believe, the way it was founded, it wasn't founded on good intentions. And this is why it's, crumbling at this point. So it's a lot to unpack with that, but good luck to them and all their mess. But he better hope, because like I said, the money's not moneying. So he better hope these girls don't get the talking. There's already little lawsuits that he's trying to, pay off and hide. But if the right girl gets the talking, or if he pisses Natalie off or one of these main baddies off enough, because Thunder Girl was really putting a lot of shit out there. She was really putting it out there. And I think that that's why they brought her back, because I heard that she's coming back to Baddies Africa. Because, you'd rather keep an enemy close than not close. I feel like that's the real reason if they brought her back. Why? Because she just didn't care. She was telling it all. But I think that there is some, some real stuff with them allegations. Somebody said, who's Big Lex? See, that's why I had to tune in. Because people would be sending me messages. And I'm like, I don't even know who y'all are talking about. Emily be having whole conversations. I don't know these people. Let me go ahead and break down and watch it. Big Lex is a really beautiful basketball player. She was in college. How she ended up on the Baddies, I don't know. But yeah, she went from basketball to Baddies. That's her claim to fame. But beautiful girl, and she can fight. Shit, I don't want no smoke. But I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, these girls are too grown to still be doing this. How long are y'all gonna fight? It's too much. And then they were making fun. And then what pissed me off was the Tommy situation with the BB gun. I didn't like the way even Natalie responded. I felt why they were upset. Tinka, I think that's her name, and Rolly. BB guns fucking hurt. And the thing is, if you get shot with a BB gun in the wrong way, it can really cause damage. I remember I had a tea sipper whose son was shot by his friend. They were playing, and he was shot in the head with a BB gun, and he ended up in a wheelchair. So it can get that real. So I don't understand why it was being treated as just for television, and people were making fun of Akbar for running. Bitch, that's what you're supposed to do. Bullets have no name on it. Anytime I've heard gunshots when I've been out, I run. The fuck? Who am I trying to be tough for? I'm trying to make it back home to my kids. I mean, it's insane. And that's the stuff that's annoying, because then young people think that that's how you're supposed to act and that's normal. No, when people start shooting, you need to get the hell up out of Dodge. Bullets have no name. So why would you tell girls who watch you, and it's young girls who watch you, that, oh, she ran, she's a punk, or that it's even funny? So I don't know. I just watched many of those episodes just in disgust. Like, I can't even believe this is what counts as television and entertainment. And then we wonder why little girls are fighting on the playground, talking back to the teachers. They all want to be baddies because their young-ass moms are watching these shows in front of them. No kid should be watching baddies. But I have friends who have children in elementary school, and little girls are starting fights with their child and saying, baddie, baddie, shot o'clock, and I'm going to beat your ass. These are kids in 1st and 2nd grade. That is insane. Why does a 1st grader know about baddie, baddie, shot o'clock? I blame the parents. I'm not blaming Natalie and them for that. That's on the parents. But I'm just saying. It's a mess. I was just shocked at them. Somebody said Big T, not the little one. I know that's right. This big Biggie, not the little Biggie. She's just big for nothing. She's annoying. She don't need to come back on the show. Get her ass the fuck up out of there. Annoying. I heard her and Anna fell out. That's not like all these girls are fake. Because this is like Emily stays watching this show. She be like, Anna and Biggie fell out. She sent me a clip of Anna dragging Biggie online. I said, well, damn, I thought that was her sister, quote unquote. Now they're beefing. None of them have no loyalty. None of them have any loyalty. They're all fighting for relevance and fame. And Natalie is the type, unfortunately, what I see with her and the Scotty situation. Natalie gives me, she gives me monitoring spirit vibes. She's cool putting her friends on as long as you don't get bigger than her. She's going to always remind you that you're here because of her. She put you on. You're in position because of her. I can't rock with people like that. Because if that's the case, why did you even put me on if you're just going to keep throwing it in my face? And I think that's where a lot of these girls are conflicted. They love the fame. They love the notoriety. But she always has to remind them that they're there because of her. That would get tiring after a while. And then that's the same way Lemmy plays her. He reminds her, you're here, you're only relevant because of me and Zeus Network. So it's a mess. It's a mess. So let me go ahead and hit on this Young Thug situation really quick. I have to get ready to go. So Young Thug, who should be thanking his lucky stars that he beat a Rico. Not many people beat Ricos. Now, granted, it was a state Rico and it was very sloppy. But either way, he beat it. So you would think that Young Thug would be minding his business, you know, getting some cooch from Mariah, you know, and just living his best life, taking care of his children. But instead, he wants to go online and still, you know, send shots, literally. So yesterday, they were literally looking at revoking his probation because of what he posted on social media. So for y'all who don't know, he took to his social media page to post this about the DA. So this is the DA right here. I don't know her name, but he posted it and he wrote, biggest liar in the DA office, and had her picture. So of course, all of his, you know, thug ass fans were sending her death threats, going off on her, all types of stuff. Because she had been keeping her face, you know, blocked during the whole trial. So let me go ahead and play this news clip here.
To Action News exclusive on rapper Young Thug. Tonight, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a motion to revoke his probation. The rapper was released on bond last November. We broke the story on WSBTV.com around 8:30 tonight. And Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie joins us now live from the newsroom. Mark, the DA spoke exclusively to you about this motion.
Yeah, this concerns the YSL gang racketeering conspiracy case. Last year, DA Fonnie Willis suggested to us the sentence for rap superstar Young Thug, real name Jeffrey Williams, that let him hit the street the night he pled guilty or nolo contendere to all charges he faced, was a sentence which could send him to prison for years if he crossed the wrong line. Now this.
If your motion is successful, Young Thug would go to prison.
He could.
A new and dramatic verse in the case surrounding music star Young Thug, real name Jeffrey Williams. A motion from prosecutors at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to revoke Williams' probation. It says, quote, since sentencing, the defendant has engaged in conduct that directly threatens the safety of witnesses and prosecutors, compromises ongoing legal proceedings, and warrants immediate revocation of probation. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis.
What our motion is concerned about is that we certainly believe that his post was to threaten law enforcement, which is all part of gang activity.
Jeffrey Williams' attorney Brian Steele told me by phone it is never appropriate to be engaged in any type of witness intimidation. It is never appropriate to threaten to murder another person. The prosecution's motion to revoke Jeffrey's probation should not be well received and should be swiftly rejected. It is irresponsible to file a motion of this sort when Jeffrey has done absolutely nothing, Steele said, to violate any condition of probation or threaten a witness.
We know that it is clear to Mr. Williams that the intent of the district attorney is to stop gang activity in Fulton County, Georgia. We believe the judge's order is clear, and that this is an intentional violation.
The motion says investigator Marissa Viverito is currently testifying in a gang murder hearing and indicates a judge ordered the witness not be shown on TV while testifying, but that a blogger posted on social media she doesn't want to be shown on screen. Well, here she is, along with a photo of the investigator. The motion says on Tuesday, Young Thug reposted the image, and the post went viral, amassing more than 2 million views. The motion says Viverito's home address and her parents' home address were publicly posted, exposing them to grave danger, and that hours later, an additional post emerged threatening the assassination of D.A. Willis. The motion alleges Williams' continued association with individuals actively involved in witness intimidation, threats of violence, and obstruction of justice constitutes a clear violation of probation conditions. Last year, Ms. Willis...
All right, child. So that is what's going on with Thug. So now today was announced about an hour ago that they're saying that he did not violate. So once again, you know, being a celebrity pays off, because if that was a regular person, they probably would have got their probation revoked, because you're literally putting this woman who's doing her job at risk, and for what reason? So the judge rules that a Fulton County judge ruled that Young Thug's social media post did not violate his probation terms. The post in question involved a picture of law enforcement officer with a critical caption. Let's see here. It's the backstory. So they basically said this: you cannot revoke someone's probation because you don't like what they've said. He's entitled to have an opinion, and he's entitled to express it. What happened was other people then saw what he expressed, and they took it to the next level. Well, that goes back to, you know, having a platform comes with great responsibility. So it doesn't matter if he posted something simple. When you have fans who are diehard, they're going to go after that person. So, you know, he's very lucky that they did not give him the max time or revoke his probation or lock him back up, you know, so good for him. But that's the update on that. So I'm going to read a few more super chats and I have to get up out of here. Be Grateful said, thank you for saying this is Bible prophecy. You are more than welcome. Thank you so much for the super chat. We have over 10,000 people in here. Please hit the like button. If you guys have enjoyed this stream, hit the like button, please. Crystal Washington says, they told us in the Constitution that only rich white men will be spared. The rest of us outside are collateral. This has always been the game. Thank you so much for the super chat, sis. Aaliyah sent $4.99. She says, I immediately thought about your Zeus's demonic video when the young Scooter situation happened. You are always on point. Was young Scooter, was he on Zeus? I didn't know he was on Zeus. Hold on. Because I heard it was a girl. A girl was a squatter. Hold on. Oh, shit. So the girl who swatted is from Zeus. What in the world is going on with this? What in the blood sacrifice? Look at this shit. Swatter in young scooter's accidental death certificate contradicts her initial 911. Demi Blanco of Zeus Baddie Show admitted that she caught the police and wasn't exactly what she said it was for. What episode of Baddies is she? I don't remember her from. Is she on Baddies Africa? Like what season of Baddies? Wow. I did not know that. I haven't heard of this particular baddie. So another person tied to Zeus got somebody killed. And it was such a crazy story. Like, it just didn't make any sense. I'm going to have to look more into that. I didn't know that. I did not know that she got that man killed. Okay, so she auditioned. Because I'm like, I don't remember that name. Okay, so she was just an auditioner. She won Africa and on Jocelyn's Cabaret. She's on Baddies Africa. Child, there's too much going on with Zeus Network. That's crazy. Thank you so much for the super chat, sis. Beyonce's lace fronts at $19.99 says, replace Natalie Nunn and her chin with Tanisha Thomas. You ain't, what would she say? You're not going to get no sleep because of me? I couldn't get no sleep because of y'all. That lives in my head rent-free. Tanisha banging them pots. She was insane. I loved her on the original Bad Girls Club. Tanisha was crazy. I haven't seen her in years. Let's see here. J Jersey Girl says, a lot of companies are owned by a white person, but will have a black person saying they are the front. Jay-Z and the baseball team, he was a small stock owner, but was really owned by a Russian oligarch. Yeah, just like with Dusty Diddy and Diageo. You would have thought that he owned Ciroc and, you're just a glorified influencer. Yep, I totally see that happening. So thank you for the super chat, sis. Camilla Mills, sent $4.99, says, hey, T, I really think this is the start of Zeus's downfall. Natalie went live arguing with Lemmy. Said that Zeus was holding her hostage. Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of drama going on behind the scenes right now with them. Lottie Live says, thank you for the great content. You are so welcome. Thank you for tapping in. Corey Smith sent $2. Thank you, Corey. Kanisha Morgan says, I need to save this live for my road trip tomorrow, but it's like crack. Love you. Thank you so much and have a safe trip tomorrow. Have fun on your road trip. Miss AB says, I just came from the mall and many stores are gone. Yeah, it's getting real. It's like everything is like just disappearing. Like brick and mortar stores are just starting to be no more. It's sad. But, that's what happens. Everybody ran to Amazon and Temu and Shein. We were all guilty of it. But, yeah, now more and more stores are closing down. Goodbye Blue Sky says Fanny was still allowed to keep her job after her scandal. Yeah, I was surprised to see her, too, that she was still attached to this. But, yeah, it looks like they let her stay. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Michael Scales, sent $15, says, word online, Jayla wants to quit. A producer on Zeus does not like Jayla at all and told Big Lex that she can get more camera time if she kept the issue with Jayla. Explains Lex's obsession with Jayla. Oh, I didn't know that. Is this on TikTok? Let me see. Because I kept wondering, like, why she was just, like, beating Jayla's ass. And what I noticed, when they fight, depending on who it is, they'll allow the fight long. Because Rolly was just whooping Slim's ass. The security wasn't coming in right away. But then when it's that little tiny girl that won't shut her mouth, Anna, sounds like a little chihuahua, they jump in real quick to like try and break up Anna's fights. They don't let her fights go too long. She can fight though, but they don't let her fights go on too long. Because I was very surprised that they let Jayla just keep getting mollywopped by that Lex girl. Let me see if I can find something. Looks like she wrote something on here. Let me see. Oh, they got music. I think I'm going to wait until after the reunion. That way everything is aired out before I talk about certain things. Y'all know I'm not screaming at my phone once a week, but I do feel like I should say a few things. So, okay, looks like that's the talk on TikTok, that Jayla must be leaving. Huh. Jayla spilled some tea on her live before she got kicked. Oh, that was 2024. I'm sorry, but getting kicked in that age, that is just too much. Ain't no way in hell, like, kick should not be in the same sentence as a 35-year-old. Jayla goes live to explain why she was kicked. I wish the fuck I would. Like, what in the world is going on? People is too old for that. That's what you do in, junior high. Bunch of 8th graders fighting. At 35, you should want your peace. Let's see here. Tyson sent $49.99. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. He says, hey, T, thanks for going live. I just got a promotion, and my favorite is going live right after. This is a great day. Congratulations on the promotion, and thank you so much for just showing love and coming through and, enjoying my live stream. So thank you so much. Ain't nothing like a promotion, especially in this day and age. That's a blessing when so many people are losing their jobs. So congratulations to you. Let's see here. J. Mars says, I barely get notifications for any videos or live streams. You're never on my feed. Wow. That's YouTube hating. But I see you're a member, so I always post on the membership part of YouTube to let people know when I go live. Also, don't forget I have an app. So you can download my app. My app also gives notifications instantly as well. So I hope that helps. Glasses Senpai says, T, are you going to open up the Discord anytime soon? How do I get in? It's closed for now. We just opened it up a month ago. So probably will not be open until another 2 to 3 months. But yeah, we opened it up. We let in about 500 new people got into there. So before I go, it's almost 7. Just to let y'all know that the money's not moneying. Did y'all see that Adam 22T? Not to be messy, but he says no jumper is going broke. And he's starting a Patreon or a GoFundMe, one of the two. Let's watch a little bit of Adam talking about no jumper going broke. That's how you know it's getting real in this economy.
So there's something that I've been hiding from you guys. No jumper is going broke. I know that might sound crazy. Between both of our YouTube channels last month, we got over 25 million views. We're doing well on Facebook and Snapchat. We employ quite a few of the hottest content creators on the West Coast, and we pump
You literally employ gangbangers who tell on themselves, but carry on.
About an insane amount of content on a weekly basis. How could we be going broke? Well, let's start here. We expanded too much during COVID at just about the exact moment that our revenue streams all took a hit. We hired a whole bunch of editors and other employees, and we bought a huge office building that cost us almost $4 million, thinking that the growth that we were experiencing during the pandemic was going to continue. And unfortunately, that did not happen. Our YouTube numbers, which had doubled or even tripled, gradually returned to normal. Our Snapchat and Facebook numbers, which had exploded during COVID, sometimes even hitting 6 figures a month, shrank by about 80% or more. Our Patreon, which was absolutely killing it for a year or two when we were doing uncensored, aka nude interviews with up-and-coming superstars like Kazumi and Sky Bree, fell off quite a bit with the launch of Plug Talk and a decreased interest in seeing us interview stars. In addition to that,
Yeah, because that gets old. We can only hear about these girls sucking dick and taking it up the ass for so long. It gets old. So, of course, it was interesting at first to some guys, but eventually, it gets old. You can only try to keep people entertained with sex workers for so long. And I think what else messed up his platform was him allowing his wife, Lena the Plug, to get fucked by that big dick, by that big peen. That big peen black man. I think that definitely turned a lot of folks off. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, this is insane. Like, you're just a cluck. I remember like people like just going in on him on Twitter about that.
You might recall that the channel took quite a hit when approximately 8 of our hosts left the platform in March of 2023. Although we've definitely largely recovered and managed to build up a very healthy roster of talent since then, that certainly took a toll on our business for a while as well. All that stuff hurt the business, but we were still solidly profitable. That is, until the last few months, where we experienced 2 major L's that we never could have seen coming. First, we lost the No Jumper Instagram. After almost 10 years of building it up and essentially no strikes on our account, we got taken down one day and we still have absolutely no idea why. We've had no luck getting it back despite being in contact with what seems like every Instagram recovery guy on the face of the planet. We were bringing in a very
interesting. Ain't that what your white buddy Fed TV does? He goes around striking black Instagram people and taking down their Instagram channels. So, yeah, welcome to the club. I lost mine too, thanks to your little white friend. So I guess they don't have their Instagram page now. They had to rebuild just like I had to rebuild. Black people go through it all the time. Welcome to the club.
very solid amount of cash monthly that was keeping us afloat via selling sponsored posts on the account. And that mostly vanished overnight. And while we've been growing the new No Jumper LA account up ever since and managing to sell sponsored collab posts using my Instagram and the No Jumper LA account, DM or email if interested, we aren't making anywhere near as much from Instagram now. Side note, if you're a Meta rep, please DM me. I would love to speak to anyone who could help with this. And second, in addition to that, we have been hit with a bullshit lawsuit from a former employee. Now, essentially everything in this lawsuit is completely fictional, and every lawyer that I've spoken to about it has described this as basically an extortion attempt, but it still cost us a ton of money already, and it's expected to cost us many hundreds of thousands of dollars to see this through to completion. It's insane to me that a person that we did so much for can just invent some grievances out of thin air and cost us this much money as a result. This person has literally lost every single friend that he used to have when he worked at No Jumper. His streaming career has completely tanked, and he even got kicked off the podcast that he left No Jumper to start. But somehow that's our reality, and we have to fight this rather than just give in to this piece of shit. So as a result of all these circumstances, we are making some changes. Over the last few months, we laid off multiple employees in an attempt to reduce our expenses as much as possible.
Not No Jumper having corporate layoffs. You can't make this shit up. You cannot, not No Jumper laying people off. And let's also not forget that some of your employees got, whisked away by the feds. This is a mess.
We closed down our store on Melrose, and we're in the early stages of selling our current warehouse and moving into a smaller space. To be honest, aside from the layoffs, which sucked, I'm pretty happy about a lot of these changes. I've realized that I should have paid more attention to DJ Vlad and kept my overhead as low as possible, particularly in terms of staff and location. I'm confident that once we get the building sold, we'll be in a pretty solid financial position again as a business. Oh, and I also just want to note that I am talking about No Jumper as a business. I've got another business in the form of Plug Talk, and I've got a pretty decent investment portfolio on a personal level. I mean, shit, I'm not $2 million in debt, and I never had to file for bankruptcy like T-Rel. But I honestly spend pretty much all of my time trying to create as much content as possible with No Jumper, and I can't really justify doing so unless the fundamentals of the business make sense. It was a big decision to share this stuff with you guys, but at a certain point I realized that I've been honest with the world about just about everything in my life over the years, and it felt wrong to keep all this stuff that we've been dealing with in secret. So I know what you're thinking. What can you do to help? Well, I do have some ideas.
Objection. I wasn't thinking shit. That thought did not come across my mind. But let's see what we can do to help Adam, in case y'all care.
Which I'll sort into 3 categories here: free, cheap, and generous. Free. Obviously, I'm infinitely thankful to anyone who watches our content at all, follows us on the @NoJumperLA Instagram, and in particular, those of you who drop likes and comments on our videos and Instagram posts. In the long run, that stuff is super helpful. Cheap. We are really trying to get serious about embracing our members here on YouTube. For $5 a month, we've got a ton of awesome benefits, including being able to watch all of our interviews free of censorship and bleeped words before they're released to the public. Members only chat for all of our live stream content, and we're just going to be prioritizing a lot of our most requested content and trying to do that live for members only. So for any of you who are down to spend $5 a month to help support the business, we're just going to try to keep adding more and more stuff to make that an easy decision for you guys who are down to support. And for those of you who have more money to spend, we're introducing a mega premium $100 tier to our memberships that will get your name added to the end of all our videos, and it will also get you consistent advice and opinions on your music submissions with one free submission per month and discounted additional songs. Basically, we're just trying to do as much as possible for anybody who's down to join this tier.
That's a big ass jump from $5 to $100. You know, again, child, businesses go through ebbs and flows, so I'm not necessarily judging, but it's very funny how the mighty, a lot of these mighty people on social media have fallen. You know, how they look down at people who just, you know, stream from the comfort of our home. You know, we're not, you know, everybody want to be a boss and, you know, have all these employees and staff. But I've said this before in the past. What kind of boss do you want to be? You got to understand, like, the more people you bring on, the more money you have to spend out. And then when you have staff, you know what I'm saying, it ends up, depending on the energy, you figure he's dealing with gangbangers and people ain't never really had nothing and who are looking for fame. They have no loyalty to him, you know, so it's just caused him, like, a lot of headache at this point. But he's not the only one. There's a lot of influencers, you know. Like I said a few months ago, everybody's trying to, you know, do live events and live shows and, you know, fish fries. I said, damn, the money is not moneying. But the difference is a lot of these people were very arrogant at one point in time. So it makes it hard for me to feel bad for them, because I believe he showed off, he bought his wife like a neon green Lambo not too long ago. You know, I think after the porn scene, that went viral. Well, take the Lambo back. You know, sometimes you have to look at your circumstances and see where you need to pull back on spending money, because the economy is not, you know, it's not economying. And what people don't understand, like I said earlier, there's a trickle down effect. So if the people who watch us on social media, if you guys are struggling and you guys don't have money or you're laid off, you're not able to spend additional money on a YouTube membership or on a super chat. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you don't live above your means. That's why you don't do stuff above your means. You got to do things within your means, because you just never know. That's why I always push savings. Like, even the people that I do the trips with, they were asking me, did I want to do a trip this year, you know, with my subscribers, like we did last year, how we went to Puerto Rico, turned up, had a good time. You know, they want me to do another influencer trip. And I had to tell her, as much as I want to do a trip, I said, for me, it wouldn't feel right in my spirit to bring that to my audience and say, hey, you know, who wants to go on a trip with me this year with everything going on in the economy? I wouldn't feel right as a person asking y'all to come up with $3,000 to go on a trip. Last year, the situation was better. People had it. You were able to do like a monthly payment till you paid it up. And we had a good time. We was out there for like a week. But I just feel like, looking around, you know, the writing is on the wall. How dare I, as an influencer, try to put on a group trip? You know, so it's like you have to understand what is going on in the world. And I think that a lot of these influencers live, and I'm not saying Adam 22 per se, I'm just saying in general, they live in this bubble and they don't understand that the same people watching you, those are your customers. So if your customers are, you know, struggling right now because the tariffs are hitting them, or, you know, somebody's husband is laid off and now everything is on the wife, well, now they're stressed, they're going through it. They don't have time to sit there and view your content like that, because they're busy throughout the day putting in job applications and they're on LinkedIn. So they're not able to consume your content, which means the views are going down, you know, so it affects all of us. That's why I say, you know, it's all one big circle. That's why I'm very grateful the fact that, you know, I can live stream and people send super chats and people support me. You know, back in the day when I first started my membership, my Patreon, I got clowned. You know, I was told, you need to get a real job. And I'm like, I do have a job. You know, that was when I lived in LA. I'm working on set, but YouTube demonetized all our videos. We had to resubmit them. So I'm asking for a little bit of help, and people did. People helped, and I really, really appreciated that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you also have to understand like the times that we're living in. You might get people to give you $5, but I wouldn't even give $100 a month. That's insane. That's a real bill in my house. That's why I told people I would, you know, as much as I put into my Discord and it's become a family, and I do a lot in my Discord. I'm not one of those influencers who has a Discord, but you never see me. I don't engage. I'm up here and y'all are down here. We have meetings. I be in there chopping it up. Y'all know more about me, like my life outside of YouTube, in my Discord. There's pictures I post on Discord I would never post on, you know, Instagram or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm really in my Discord. I'm really where my fans are at, just like my YouTube membership and things like that. So it's like, I would never raise those prices. Like I said, when I started it, it was $5 and that's it. I'm not going to raise it. Even though I could charge $25, $50 a month like a lot of these other influencers do. But I'm like, no, I always want it to be affordable, you know, for those who just want to, you know, send extra to help, or, you know, who just like that type of community. I always want to keep it affordable. So it's very funny that you're asking people who may or may not be struggling, who may or may not be laid off, who are all going to be dealing with tariffs, to give you $100 a month. No. You was better off just doing the $5 and seeing, you know, who's willing to support there. But it's like, you know, you just got to understand the times that we're living in. And especially a lot of this stuff that he got himself into, it seems like it was self-induced. You're buying buildings, you're making all these big purchases with the hopes that the money's going to last. You always got to look at stuff like, in the event I don't have this stream of income coming in, do I have enough over here? What else can I do? And he says he has multiple streams of income, so for the most part, he should be good. But the problem is when you're paying all of these people. It's a lot to pay people. It's a lot to take on people, because then you are responsible for them. You know what I'm saying? Their livelihood. That is a lot of pressure. That is a lot of stress. So, and I think that that's why sometimes the more corporate type of, you know, YouTube commentators, like the Fed TVs and stuff, they look down on the regular homegrown people because we don't have a lot of overhead. So they feel away. That's why he has no problem trying to strike down people's content and take down people's Instagrams, being petty. Don't get mad because you got to pay, you know, Sally, Sue, and James. That ain't got shit to do with us. So I just thought it was interesting. I thought, you know, I had seen that early before I got online. I'm like, oh, hell no, not them going broke and struggling and starting memberships and Patreons. But you're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see a lot more content creators. And again, and I support people. I support a lot of people on Patreon. Especially if you are an editor, you take your content seriously, you will get my money every month like a cable bill. So I support a lot of people, especially ones who, you know, may not make, like truthers. I support a lot of truthers. People who may not get the money, they may not get, you know, they may get demonetized a lot on YouTube. Then I support them on other platforms. If they have a website where you can send money, I send money to people. Because I figure if I can pay for cable and pay for this and that, and I'm enjoying somebody's content and enjoying the work that they put in, I'm supporting you, period. You know, so I pay it forward all the time. But you're going to just see that, you know, as times are getting harder, you're going to see that. But the difference is, I think a lot of these influencers, unfortunately, have bit themselves in the ass. Because you can't sit up here for years and act like you're better than the fans who got you to where you're at, and then in the same breath come back and ask these fans to help continuing to fund your lifestyle. No, you should have been smart with your money. Because, yeah, Jake Paul bet not ever start a GoFundMe. As rich as he is, he bet not ever start a GoFundMe. So, all right, y'all. Let me read a few more super chats and then I have to get up out of here. This has been a great conversation. I've been on here for over 2 hours. Let's see here. Tamiko Simone. Santwini says, when pimping out your wife goes wrong, the Smashing Wifey Volume 2 coming soon. Yeah, I think that situation turned a lot of people off. hate it or love it, he had a particular fan base, young men who did like him. But that's where a lot of people drew the line. Like, that's your wife. That's the mother of your child. Why would you sit there and watch a BBC do that? Like, that's insane. Why would you want your wife to even, because he always bragged about having threesomes with her, with another girl. But then to bring another man, and then they all ended up getting into it afterwards. It was just a mess. But yeah, I think that. And then also, like, the low vibrational content. Like, people are going through stuff right now, and people are not trying to consume content of gangbangers constantly snitching on themselves. They're trying to focus their energy elsewhere. So for me, I'd rather focus my energy on gardening and things that are more uplifting. I still got to be around for the muck because that's what I do, but I'm going to have most of my focus over here. So he's going to have to change his content around a little bit. He doesn't have to lose who he is, but he's going to have to find a happy medium because all the porn star shit, that's dead. The gangbang shit, that's dead. Let's see here. Michael Scales 7 says, also Zeus is a big joke. They had a talent named Big Gretch, a white Puerto Rican, that kept saying the N-word. She became somewhat of a fan favorite. Yeah, I remember that. I didn't agree with the whole Jayla and Big Gretch situation. Big Gretch, she says she has some black in her, the grandfather. That's what happens. People will breed the black out of them, unfortunately. So maybe her granddaddy was my color. He got with somebody mixed, and now she's ambiguous as hell. But she says she has, half black kids. But I felt like they were trying to, they was doing too much with that situation because, one, Scotty with the body is a biracial. Natalie Nunn is a biracial. And all of them say the N-word continuously. Anna's always screaming the N-words. Not who's the other big one? Not Rolly, Biggie. She's always saying the N-word. So it's like they pick and choose. Half the people on the cast look racially ambiguous as hell, and they run around saying the N-word all day. And I felt like Jayla was just trying to use that as like a way to like either get liked by the fans or like a low-key storyline. I felt like after a while it was just becoming too much. Yeah, I keep talking about her saying the N-word while all y'all are saying the N-word and none of y'all are full black. Well, not Jayla, but I'm saying the ones who were also co-signing Jayla's shit. Because if we want to be technical, none of y'all racially ambiguous people should be saying it. You don't get to pick and choose. So I thought that was whack. Yeah, Mariah too. And she's very ambiguous. She's like white and Puerto Rican or something. Boogs girl, is T pregnant? Oh my God, if it's true, congrats. Why do you think I'm pregnant? Am I top my pregnancy right now? Girl, I'm not pregnant. It's about to be hot girl summer. Auntie gotta have a life too. Shit. If you're pregnant with a baby. No. And then the tariffs and the price. Hell no. These kids cost. I'm done. I finally decided to just wait for grandchildren. And even then, they're like, yeah, no, kids are expensive. It'll be a while. So I don't know. I feel like y'all's generation don't like to have babies and shit. I don't know what's going on with y'all's, with Gen Z. I'm like, most of my Gen Z friends is kids, like, don't have no kids. Like, a few of us are grandparents, but most of them are like, nah, we're not having kids right now. It's like, well, damn, what's the hold up? Shit. So, yeah, no, I'm not pregnant. Shit, summertime. I'm waiting for this weather to break. Shit, I'm about to put on my little skirt short, these little chicken legs. Yeah, my little hot girl summer shit. But I hope that answered your question, sis. All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and get up out of here. Let's see. Clarissa X says, T, I love you. I may not agree with you with you politically, but I love you. I've been watching you since 2016. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Random person sent 5 said, this is my first super chat. Just wanted to pop on here and say, honey, I love you, T, and I will watch the playback. That is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I hope you guys learned a lot, especially at the beginning of this stream, all the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So just, stay on top of the news, understand what's going on around you, and just stay informed. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. So everybody have a